so we have, what is the
Sprinkling
thing we have there at the bottom of the ramp this time? Aiden.
It's the wax paper.
It's the wax paper. And what do you know about wax paper? What do you know? Jared?
It's kind of slippery.
It's kind of slippery. Do you think there'll be a lot of friction with the wax paper?
Yeah.
Or do you think the car will go farther?
Farther.
We're thinking the car would go farther. Now, on our data, we thought, more of us thought, well, that was more friction. So a lot of us thought that maybe the wax paper would be the most friction. But, so what we're going to do is I'm going to place the car up here. You need to back up a bit. And we're going to just let it roll. That's why we have our aisleways here. We're just going to let it roll. And we're going to let it stop wherever it stops. And then Amber will pick it up and bring it to me. Okay? So here we go. All right, stops right there about John.
Okay, John.
One of the things that I forgot to do this morning that I want to make sure I do with you guys, Jacob. One of the things that I want to do this morning that I didn't, one of the things I want to do this afternoon that I didn't do this morning was to do it a second time. Just to make sure, because I want to make sure my wheels are at the back of the ramp. I'm not pushing at all, I'm just letting it go.
About John.
Okay? So, our data's pretty good. That's how far it went.
It likes.
Thank you.
I think it likes John.
Okay, I'm going to move the wax paper.
I bet all of them are.
Okay, Mrs. Hogue is taping this for Olivia. So, if you're making a bunch of nonsense noise, she's going to see that you are not listening so good. This is our what? Sandpaper. Okay. What do you use sandpaper for? Does anybody know? Have you used it before? You know someone who uses it? John?
My dad.
Your dad uses it? What's he use it for? You know?
He uses it for fixing cars.
Yeah, when he's fixing the body of cars, doesn't he? Before he's going to paint them. He's got to get the old paint off. When Mr. Ling made that table for me, he had to use sandpaper to make the wood smooth before he put the varnish on there for me. Gracie, what do you know about sandpaper?
My dad used it before, and you can use it on walls.
Yep, to like smooth out plaster and stuff like that. Aiden, what do you know?
When I was in Boy Scouts last year, I got to do the Penguin Derby race. And
Did you use it?
Yeah, because we had a big curve in the back.
Right.
Like a tail fin,
So you
and
had to
it's
get
most
it
bumpy.
smoothed out, didn't you, Trenton?
Well, I know that sandpaper does a lot. It can make a lot of stuff.
It makes a lot of stuff smooth, is what it does. Jacob?
I think my dad might have used it to make my table for my Legos.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to try with the sandpaper then. Same thing. I've got the tires at the back of the ramp. We're going to just let it go. See where it goes this time. Now, here's a question for you. Is there more friction? Is there more friction with the sandpaper than the wax paper? How many of you say yes? There is more friction. Okay, how do you know there's more friction, Jaden?
Because
It stopped sooner, didn't it? It didn't go as far. So we know that there's more friction with the sandpaper. So let's try the sandpaper a second time then. Okay. Very close to the same position. Okay. So we can compare the sandpaper, Jared. We can compare the sandpaper with the wax paper. And we already know that the sandpaper causes more friction. All right? Which is what our graph showed. Look at our graph up there. Our graph showed that the sandpaper had more friction than the wax paper. Okay? What do you know about a towel? What do you know about a beach towel? What do you know, Brandon?
it's soft.
It's soft. Would we think of something soft as being having more friction?
Probably. We don't know.
We don't know. Some of us don't know, and more of us said the sandpaper was going to have the most friction. So a lot of us don't think the towel is going to have as much friction, do we? All right, so let's test out this towel.
The towel.
Okay, same thing. Wheels put at the back of the ramp. Let go.
Oh, it's Molly.
It only went to Molly this time. What does that tell us? What's it tell us?
I was right, and it went to me.
Sierra, what's it tell us?
But
Shh, are you listening or talking?
does the towel have less friction?
Does it have less friction or does it cause more friction or cause less friction? Right?
I think it causes more friction.
You're right.
And I think it was looking thicker.
It causes more friction. How do you know it caused more friction? Brandon.
It stopped shortly.
It stopped a shorter distance. That's exactly how we know. All right, let's do our second trial then. Tires at the back.
Probably the same thing.
Okay. So we know that our experiment, our data is correct because every single time they matched up exactly the same way. Okay? So, did our classroom make the right hypothesis?
No.
No. Our classroom thought that the sandpaper, which really makes sense. It makes sense that the sandpaper would cause the most friction. But when we did our experiment, we found out that it was really the towel. Aiden.
That's why when I asked you if we were going to use that with our experiment, you said yes.
Well, maybe I wasn't understanding you, because we're not. Okay? Now, just a quick question for you. We're not going to do this, but what would happen if I raised the ramp higher up? I'd like to talk about a couple things here. Olivia, what would happen then?
Then it might go farther.
The truck would go faster, wouldn't it? Because you guys know if you have a steeper hill, things go down faster.
Yes.
Okay?
Just like
So that is called a variable. When you do an experiment, you have to make sure that your variables are all the same. We didn't change how high the ramp was. We left the ramp down how it was. And the only thing we changed was the type of material that the car was going off on. Okay? And that's because that's what we wanted to compare.
Oh,
We wanted to find out what had the most friction.
Up there it said it has board too.
Right. But that was because Mrs. Towner did that, and she didn't really know exactly what I was doing for the experiment. Okay? Because this is the 3 we're going to do. All right, if you guys will walk back to your seats. See ya, Olivia. Bye.